Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Mobile Apps in Law Firms, how the top 200 law firms use apps. I'm your host for today. My name's Lisa and I am the lead researcher for legal app data and also the head of content and creative in the marketing team here at Fliplet. Please do ask questions as we go on. We'd love to hear from you, and any suggestions that you have, you can do this via the Zoom Q&A at the bottom of your screen. So the agenda for today, we'll cover a summary of the research. We will look at the key findings and trends, our most popular apps and analysis, why law firms use Fliplet, and look at some recommended next steps. And we're looking at around 30 minutes for today's webinar. So a summary of the research, we took our list of the global 200 from law.com. We viewed the public app stores on both Apple and Google, taking publicly available data from that and also from search engines. It's good to note that if this excludes any web apps, web pages, widgets, or apps published internally via private app stores or MDMs, and the research was conducted in May this year. Our interpretation of data, just a couple of things to cover off. When we've categorized our apps, we have reviewed the app names and descriptions, and also the features and benefits of apps have been taken from the information available in the app stores. So everything you're going to see, we've interpreted from the data that's available publicly. So on to the key findings and trends. 39% of the top 200 law firms have apps published on app stores. Of the apps published, there are 191 of them, and 131 of those have been published on both the Apple App Store and Google Play. 47 have been published on Apple App Store only, and 13 of those have been published on the Google Play only. So a quick look, or a long look actually, at the most popular app types. We have categorized the apps as I explained earlier, and this is the percentages that they come out at for those 191 apps. Events comes in at the first place with 36.5%. When we're talking about events apps, we're looking at in-person and virtual event engagement. The next is reference. So we're looking at providing information and resources and guides via these apps. This comes in at around 31.8%. The next group is emergency management. So coordinated responses during emergency. Most of these apps with our data are public-facing apps, and I'll go on to explain the examples of all of these coming up. This comes in at 13%. Looking at the next group, we've got community apps. This is quite a drop down to 4.2%. Communities are examples of connecting and engaging groups of people. And then client portal coming in at our fifth place, which is secure and private distribution of apps and content at 3.6%. We've then got some similar app types around learning and news, where it's about facilitating information, giving, and educational activities and content at around 2.5%. And then we get into the smaller ranges down the bottom of the groups of office management apps, firm information apps, where we're displaying company information and contact details, and then calculator tools. There's still a few tools around, and it is an area that could be increasing very soon, where people can perform calculations to aid their decision-making. Then we've got some much smaller ranges of time tracking apps, return to office apps, and also food ordering. Please don't forget to ask any questions as we go. We'd love to hear from you. So now we'll take a bit of an app deep dive into assessing the top 5 that I've just mentioned. Well, actually, it's the top 5 with a couple of extras. So we're looking at events. We're then grouping together reference, news, and learning, and I'll come on to explain why they are grouped in a moment. Looking at the third, which is emergency management, and then on to community and client portal. So event apps. This is looking at supporting events, both in person and virtual. Some examples of these are partner conferences and retreats, staff events, client events, corporate events, and also webinars. And the list does go on. The audience for these is usually clients or staff. And the features you can expect from these apps that we've found within the research are agenda and schedules, looking at floor plans, directory of speakers and attendees, chats and discussions. So a really key element of event apps that are being published nowadays is to chat and to discuss topics that are being brought up in sessions. Also, notifications. All important element of event apps now is to make sure that your attendees know where they need to be, keep abreast of all the recent information about the event in the lead up and also post event. The advantage to a lot of event app builders at the moment are that you can have multiple events within one app. Crucial when you are delivering an event a week, for example. Checking in and out is become commonplace within apps for events. And that also aids your reports and analytics, making sure that you understand how people have attended your event, whether they have used the app and what parts they are not using as much and which you can optimize. There are many benefits to having event apps, such as improved engagement, increasing networking, easier communication, and also that benefit of having unlimited events to have an app for. Some examples that we saw in the research that I draw your attention to are Kennedy's Events app, and also the Proskauer Partner Retreat. There are a lot of apps within the research, within the app stores, that have a lot of the features that we've shown here on this list. So moving on, this is the reference news and learning apps I was explaining earlier as being something that we've grouped together. They're all created to support staff or clients to learn and access relevant information. By far, the biggest group within that is reference, with just under 32%. Well, when we group these all together, we can see that the percentage that it takes of those 191 apps is 36.5, which is exactly the same as the events app. So it's a very, very big and growing area of legal apps. The audiences you can expect for this are clients, staff, and practices. Some examples that we might use are news and updates, client training, staff training. If we move on to more of the learning side of these things, it's onboarding for team members, graduates and associates, professional development as well, training courses, and also include the inclusion of decision-making and checklists. So the features of these sorts of apps is obviously the reference and document library, having all of your information there available for your audience. But the inclusion of things like decision trees and discussion forums, building in customized courses, really helps to aid the understanding and education of your audience to what you are hoping for them to learn. You can check their knowledge. A lot of the upcoming learning apps that we're speaking to clients about have quizzes and making sure that people are really understanding the information that's going into those learning reference and news apps. Notifications, award certificates, and reporting, all other very key features to include. The benefits, you're obviously going to increase engagement with your firm. There's easy management to keep the information up to date and in the hands of your users, and you can customize these apps to suit your needs. Some great examples on the app stores are the Employment and Pensions Guide from Evershed Sutherland, and also the McFarlane's Trainee Experience app. Moving on to emergency management apps. And this is something that we covered last week in a webinar. It's something very near and dear to our hearts, but we will carry on and talk about that a little later. So these sorts of apps support users in an emergency. They're usually very time sensitive, and they can include things like unannounced inspections, such as dawn raids, things like crisis response, crisis management, cyber assistance, data fraud and data breach, and also PR and reputation crisis. Your audience is typically clients and practices. I will caveat this by saying that there are emergency management apps which are internal facing, but for the purposes of what's been published on the public app stores, we are looking at the client facing versions of emergency management apps. The features you can expect, and we have seen within these apps, is reporting an emergency. Sometimes you see a big red button in the middle, making it really easy for the client to get in touch with your law firm experts when they are in the middle of an emergency. Emergency checklists, making sure that people know what they need to do in the time of crisis, of emergency, that they don't get flustered or stressed, and they have something very easy to follow to understand what they need to do next. There's a directory of experts often where you can have all of your experts, lawyers and attorneys listed. Collaboration is also becoming something that is mainstay in the emergency management app creation process, so that both lawyers and clients can work together to make sure that the emergency solution is one that suits both of them. You've also got notifications and live chat. Live chat is now starting to be implemented where you can have a meaningful real-time chat. Support materials, very crucial in the pre-planning for an emergency, and then also running mock emergencies. So running a drill or a test beforehand to make sure that everything can run smoothly. Benefits include rapid and coordinated responses, the usage of local language, jurisdiction, and emergency categories, which I'll come on to explain a little later, and then mitigating the risk of errors. Nothing like a serious situation to get people a bit stressed, making sure that all of these details are taken care of. A couple of examples to draw your attention to are dawn raids from Denton's and also dawn raids first response from Clifford Chance. Moving on to community apps. So this is around supporting users to connect and communicate in a secure app, usually for a specific purpose or topic. So examples of this that we're seeing, there's a huge surge in alumni apps being created now. You can have an app for your department or team community, your offices or locations. Your clients could also have a community app with you, firm and social groups, and also even project groups. The audience is generally clients, staff, or alumni. So really anyone that you can create one for. And the features include user profiles, groups, creating discussion topics, adding posts, commenting on those posts, notifications to let people know when there's more new and updated information or posts within the community app, and also gamification. It's something that is becoming more and more included within apps these days to give people that dopamine hit that we're getting so used to seeing that something has happened within the app, or making you create an action that will give you an award, for example. It's a really great way to keep getting people coming back. And we're starting to see that in some of the apps that we've researched. And then also news and information. You've got people coming to this app and it's a great opportunity to keep them there and keep them coming back. The benefits sort of speak for themselves. It's enhanced communication. You're improving your engagement with this group. There's also knowledge sharing that can go on and networking as well. And then you can also use this opportunity to get feedback and crowdsource information or ideas. Some good examples from the research that we've done include Access from Arnold and Porter, and also Reach by Taylor Wessing. And on to our final of our top 5. This is client portal apps. They're a secure, private method of distributing apps and content to customers. The audience is clients, and the features you can expect from this sort of app is user authentication and security, dashboards and overviews. So this sort of app is where you have all of your solutions for your clients in one place. So you've got multiple solution access within that for them. You can share documents. You can also notify them of any updates that need to be shared. You've got project management that can happen. You can work on projects within that. There really are so many options that you can have within a client portal app. And obviously there's also reporting and resources that is crucial to understanding how people are using your apps and then how you can optimize. The benefits includes that centralized access, improving client experience, having better communication and collaboration, and also the ability to evolve the app, scaling and flexing it as the client needs change and organization grows. Some examples that we've pulled out from the research include Fried Frank's portal and also BCLP's client connection. So just a quick recap of the type of the apps that law firms have, with a little bonus on the end. We looked at events, we looked at emergency management, reference news and learning, also really key as part of the suite of apps that law firms seem to be building out. Community, client portal, and firm information as well. So firm information apps, just to quickly cover that, we're looking at including firm information, practice areas, directories and contact details for attorneys and officers. And some of the examples that we found within the research include adding key resources and podcasts. Some other key trends that we've noticed are that there's multiple languages being created. That's 2 or more languages within one app. We're also seeing that some firms are creating the same app, but in a different language. An example of this is Bird & Bird creating a Dawn Raid app in English, Finnish, and French as 3 separate apps. We've also seen other examples of firms where they've built out an app with 5 to 10 languages, which really creates an accessibility for different regions. Another area we're seeing that's trending at the moment is multiple jurisdictions. So including, in the same way, multiple languages, also multiple jurisdictions within an app. Some of the apps boast having 10 to 14 jurisdictions listed within the app, which really increases the reach and ability for your app to be used across multiple regions and jurisdictions to make sure that everyone involved is aware of the regulatory requirements for their area. And then multiple scenarios with one app. So this is a great example from within emergency management, where we're seeing people create a crisis management app where it includes the dawn raid guidance, cyber response, data breach, the PR and reputation crisis, and also maybe even some internal examples, all within one scenario, one app. Firm information apps could also be used in a very similar way. As I mentioned just before, we've seen examples where people have extended the app out to create, a hub for media. So your podcasts and any webinars that you run could have a home there as well. So 3 key areas of trends that we're seeing. And we've also seen that 41 of the global top 200 law firms are Fliplet customers. Please don't forget to ask any questions. We're very keen to hear from you throughout the webinar. So why do so many law firms use Fliplet to create apps? Well, just to recap on what Fliplet is, Fliplet's an online tool that enables anyone to very rapidly build apps. And these apps from Fliplet can run anywhere. They can run on Apple, Android, and web. You create one version and publish it to whichever app stores or the web that you'd like. Fliplet works with law firms to deliver a range of app solutions, so including all of the examples I've given you earlier, the events, reference and learning, emergency management, and community solutions. So why do law firms create their apps with Fliplet? Well, you can build a unique and customized solution. It doesn't have to fit a cookie cutter approach. It can include elements from different types of solutions. We've created these solutions that have a plethora of choices within them, but you can boil it down to whatever it is that you really want within our pre-built solutions. Security and control is really important. We have enterprise-grade security, and you can control who can access your app and also access Fliplet Studio. You can white label the solutions, put any branding on them that you need, and your own logos. Integration with existing systems is very, very important and key for a lot of law firms that we work with. You can include integrations with your database, with HiQ, SharePoint. The list really does go on. You have the option to produce public or private solutions. They are, as I mentioned, available on desktop and mobile devices, and they can work offline. When you're traveling and you don't have access to Wi-Fi, your staff and your clients can still access many elements of your app and complete forms and do other activities within the app that will then sync when you are back with Wi-Fi access later on. There are multiple use cases. We have pre-built solutions as well as a lot of screen templates where you can build out really the solution that's customized to your needs. And it's really easy for non-technical staff to maintain the app. You can visit fliplet.com if you'd like to learn more about this. But don't take our word for it. There are a number of published case studies on our website from top law firms for you to see. We've included some logos of those that we've showcased various use cases within legal. Some of these examples go specifically into an emergency management solution, and some of the case studies cover how the entire firm uses a suite of apps with Fliplet. So please go to fliplet.com/case-studies for more information about each and to download them. So we've got some recommended next steps of where we think you could take this from here. If you're new to apps, we really strongly suggest that you consider the content, data, or processes that you have already in place that would benefit from being in an app. You probably have a lot of things that could actually work within an app that you could make the process or the content work much harder for you. Choosing an app from the ones that I mentioned earlier, the app types that the Global 200 have created. Is there an app within that selection of 6 that I mentioned that you could build out very easily. If you already have some apps, are there any apps in your app suite missing from the ones that most other firms in the top 200 have? Perhaps considering the benefits that you could gain from building out your apps in this way. So if you have used Fliplet, or if you haven't used Fliplet, we recommend that you sign up for free. You can visit fliplet.com/sign-up, selecting the pre-built solution that best suits your existing content. There are a number of solutions within Fliplet Studio that you can select. Adding in your own content, very easy to upload any spreadsheets, any content that you have, and then it's quite straightforward to preview the app and send to colleagues for review. Our Fliplet app consultants and support team are on hand via live chat to help at any time. But if you'd like us to show you how, you can request a free demo via fliplet.com/request-demo. So this is now just a summary of the webinar that you've just watched. We covered a summary of research, key findings and trends, most popular apps analysis, why law firms use Fliplet, and our recommended next steps. We are currently building out the report from these findings, and we hope to be able to send this out to you in the coming weeks. So I think there are some questions to answer. I'll just have a look at those. Someone says, great insights. Have you seen a trend in firms creating apps in multiple categories? Events, emergencies. So I don't know if I need clarification on this particular question. So we are, yeah, absolutely. People, firms, I'll answer it in the case that people are building out multiple apps, but we have many of our customers who are building out a suite of apps, creating apps for events, multiple events, learning, emergency management, but also the internal examples that haven't been mentioned within this webinar. So there are a number of internal examples that are being built out, including capacity management, project management, and also some of the community apps as well. Hopefully that answered your question. Please do clarify, and one of us will get back to you if we are able to. Which regions did most of the firms based in? That's a great question. So we're still working into the data. The majority of the firms were based in, had headquarters in the US, with the second highest being the UK. This is something that is not too unsurprising. We do have a lot of clients in the UK and the US, and that's where we have seen a lot of the apps that are published from. The only caveat that I would say with that is that they are headquartered. So there's further research required to understand if the app, just because a firm is headquartered in the US, perhaps the branch or the office that created the app might have also been based in the UK. We, of course, have this information for our clients, but it's not something that we can necessarily share. So we will definitely look into how we can share that research with you when we finish the report. What are some of the key features that we could start out with for an event app? Great question. I think it really depends on what you're hoping to get out of the event app. There's the basis of having your agenda and your schedule. Also, we're developing the ability to have more capabilities within our event apps. So it really does depend how far you want to take it. Many of the examples that I included of the features within the apps in the earlier slide, they are the ones that a lot of our clients are building out. I would definitely recommend incorporating the chat features and also discussions, being able to converse with other attendees in an event, or also ask questions of the speakers is a key feature. And I think the only other one to mention is notifications. We see a lot of success with firms building out the notifications feature and being able to really get in front of mind of event attendees before, during, and after an event to ensure that your event is as successful as it can be. Okay, I think that was all we have we have for today. I think there is just one last question. I think, how can a law firm use AI? Well, actually, I have a slide that might just help with this. So we have an upcoming couple of webinars I'd like to draw your attention to in a couple of weeks' time. So the one on the right is Build Your First AI-Powered App with Fliplet, how to start using AI within your app. And this is the 4th AI-related webinar that we're running with our CEO, Ian. You can find our on-demand webinars of the previous 3 on our website, fliplet.com/webinars. But to register for the one in a couple of weeks' time, please do head to fliplet.com/events or scan the QR code on your screen. And also, it would be remiss of me not to mention our event app webinar coming up also in 2 weeks. As you saw from the research, 36.5% of the apps in the App Store are on events, and we're going to spend 30 minutes showing you within 15 minutes of that how to build an event app. Very excited for that one coming up on the 21st of June. Please do sign up for those via fliplet.com/events. Well, that's all from me today. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you a lovely day.